Chapter 106 Kill the Darkwing Wolf. I'm not joking. Did you think I could safely arrive here while carrying something like that? Carrying the underground holy spring would make me the same as the meat of Tangsing, attracting all kinds of magical beasts. But I also did not dare to throw this thing away, in case something big happened. It just happened that I was so scared that I got a little thirsty, so I drank all of it without leaving a tiny drop, Mo Fan solemnly replied. After finishing what he was saying, Mo Fan took out the bottle that used to contain the underground holy spring and threw it to Zhang Kong. After Zhang Kong received the empty bottle and looked inside, an odd expression appeared on his face. You really freaking drank it? Even he, who was a descendant of a great military leader and had a certain amount of authority in the country's politics, had never taken such a luxury before. Zhang Kong took a few steps away in order to not fall over the edge of the tower. Only after a while was Zhang Kong able to regain his calm. He helplessly said, "If this was before the calamity, you'd be burned at the stake, and be treated no different from the Black Vatican. However, I, Mu Zhouyan, Yang Zuohei, Old Zhu, Deng Kai, and the others were hoping that the underground holy spring wouldn't fall into the hands of the Black Vatican. And furthermore, it was also going to dry up in the next few years, so we wouldn't be able to use it many more times, anyway. If there's none left, then that's it. Being able to save Bo City is the most important thing. I also had that premonition, that's why I directly drank it. Even if the Black Vatican finds me and opens up my corpse, they will at most find an especially foul-smelling urine." Mo Fan sneered. This kid. Zhang Kong shook his head with a smile. Zhang Kong didn't actually care too much about what had happened to the underground holy spring. In fact, he didn't necessarily believe what Mo Fan had said. However, the underground holy spring that was drying up had brought a disaster upon Bo City, rather than good fortune. Even if Mo Fan was a sneaky little thief and had actually secretly hid it, then it could be counted as his reward for saving Bo City. After all, him being a student who hadn't even graduated his third year of high school was able to protect such an important thing and see through Bai Yang's betrayal. If it had been anyone else, then the underground holy spring would perhaps have fallen into the hands of the Black Vatican. If he really drank it, then that's good. If he hid it, that's fine as well. It doesn't matter now, since they had confirmed that the underground holy spring hadn't fallen into the hands of the Black Vatican, and also confirmed that the one they had to face was a commander-level Darkwing Wolf. Then it was time for them to put an end to this calamity. Commit a crime against people, and I'll put you on stake for show. Wherever you run, I, Zhang Kong, will definitely cut your head in twain as a tribute for the deceased souls of Bo City. Heed my order." Zhang Kong's gaze was like lightning as he suddenly shouted out loudly. The motionless intermediate magicians to the side suddenly put on their battle faces. A stern feeling instantly pervaded the whistling wind. "Kill the Darkwing Wolf, no rest until death." Zhang Kong yelled out once more, his voice was filled with killing intent. "Kill the Darkwing Wolf, no rest until death. Kill the Darkwing Wolf, no rest until death. Kill." The 9 people under Zhang Kong's direct command simultaneously answered with vigorous fervor. Mo Fan was unable to sense a shred of fear in their voices. All there was a mission, and the courage of the men of the army. After the steel-like voices had dispersed in the wind, Army Chief Zhang Kong took a step forward. His azure military windbreaker was blown high. Fall. Chief Zhang Kong fell off from the watchtower just like that. Before Mo Fan was able to recover from the shock, white wings emerged in his line of sight. Wind wings. This was Mo Fan's second time seeing wind wings. The shock in his heart was not any less than the last time. In the dusky weather and the bloodstained city, between the heavens and the city, a shadow that was carried by the wind wings was free and untamed. In front of this kind of disaster, everyone seemed exceptionally minuscule, except for him, the man who had wind wings. He dares to say he's going to kill the Darkwing Wolf. He dares to say that he will protect the city. Who? The wind from his wings was directly blown over. After Zhang Kong flew away, the 9 people under his direct command also jumped down. Soon after, Mo Fan saw 9 great white eagle-like birds carrying the officers flying toward the silver trade tower in the gray sky. Those were heavenly eagles, only allocated to high-ranked military officers, and the symbol of the army. As Chief Zhang Kong flew by himself with the wind wings, and the 9 heavenly eagles soared through the skies with the 9 military officers, a thunderous shout rose from the protectors within the safety shelters. The calamity would finally come to an end. In the days of a blood alert, the role of humans was to be food and run away, weak and scared. However, that did not mean that humans were extremely weak, and were poultry who were confined to the city. Within the ranks of humans, there was a certain kind of people. They were known as magicians. Their mission was to use the power that was given to them by nature to battle against the invasions of the magical beasts. Ruthlessly slaughter magical beasts. Within the safety shelters, there was a youth, his body tanned a dark brown. He helplessly sat amongst the group of protected people, perplexed and mediocre. However, he raised his head to see the shadows above the city, saw the 9 eagles streaking across the sky, heard the loud shouts of all the battle mages within the safety shelters. It was just like beating military drums. All their eyes were thoroughly drawn toward the scene, their pupils expanding. Ever since the moment He died, his eyes had never regained their senses, until now. Now his eyes felt like they were simply combusting. His heart was surging like the beating of the drums, following the 10 streaks that were flying toward the Darkwing Wolf. He had found the place where he belonged. If you knew that the weak boy that you sacrificed yourself to save is able to become a battle mage that can watch over the city, and use his own powers to save millions of beautiful girls like you, then you in heaven will be smiling in gratification, right? The weak boy gripped his fist. He already knew where he should go, and what he should be doing in the future. Mo Fan walked down from the watchtower, and after arriving at the very bottom, he happened to see the female instructor, Pan Li-jun. In the past, Pan Li-jun had a stiff face. Today, it looked like she held a grief that had been there for a long time. It seemed like the her who used to be very well trained was somewhat weak at the moment. A scouting squad member took a risk to bring back news. Many caverns outside of the safety shelters have distinct traces of being dug out, Pan Li-jun solemnly said to the headband-wearing man next to her. So that means the sudden appearance of all these magical beasts in Bow City is mostly because the many tunnels outside of Bow City lead to the water tunnels beneath it. The magical beasts use those tunnels to walk past our safety shelters to directly enter Bow City? The headband man solemnly asked. Yes, our top priority is to find a few magical beast caverns and have those tunnels directly filled and destroyed, or else Bow City will have an unending amount of magical beasts appearing. It's just, we currently are not sure on where those tunnels that lead to Bow City lie. Pan Li-jun was at her wits' end at this moment. As he heard these two discussing this, Mo Fan's thoughts suddenly flashed. Cave, water tunnel, sewers. This meant that there was a creature specialized in digging causing mischief. Colossal-eyed ape rat. In his year with the hunter squad, Mo Fan and the squad members had killed a large number of colossal-eyed ape rats within Bow City. At this moment, he finally understood why there were so many colossal-eyed ape rats going rampant in Bow City for the past year. Heavens, they were the signs of this disaster to Bow City. Chapter 107 Magical Beast Entrance. Instructor Pan, I think I know where the clues are. Mo Fan hastily interrupted after hearing the two people talking, realizing something important. Where? The two looked at Mo Fan in confusion. The City Hunter Squad, Mo Fan replied. The discussion between the two could be said to have influenced the flash of an idea in Mo Fan's head. The invasion of the magical beasts this time seemed to be unexpected. The truth is, Mo Fan, who was on the City Hunter Squad, had vaguely understood some of the situation of Bow City, and the most distinct one was the rampage of the colossal-eyed ape rats. The colossal-eyed ape rats were experts in digging. From this, it was easy to understand that the magical beast tunnel leading into Bow City from the outside was the doing of the colossal-eyed ape rats. Every time the City Hunter Squad hunted a magical beast, they would record it. Surely they would be able to find the location of the magical beast entrance from the recent activities of the colossal-eyed ape rats in Bow City. The two people looked at each other as they realized the same thing. It was impossible for the colossal-eyed ape rat to have dug a tunnel leading into Bow City without any kind of activity. The ones who understood the problems that existed within Bow City best were naturally the City Hunter Squad. They'd be able to obtain some accurate clues from the City Hunter Squad. Good, I'll go and contact the people from the City Hunter Squad immediately, the man with the headband nodded repeatedly. Pan Li-jun turned her head around in astonishment as she looked at Mo Fan. She never imagined that this student's few words could be so important. The truth is, I am a member of the City Hunter Squad. After returning from the practicals, I realized that my own strength was far too weak. Thus, I joined one of the city hunter squads. However, I currently do not know where they are, Mo Fan explained with a forced smile as he saw Instructor Pan staring at him. You really are unfathomable, Pan Li-jun forced out a smile. Instructor Pan, how's the situation at Snowy Peak Mountain Station? My father is there, Mo Fan asked. Don't worry, that place is even more secure than Bo City. Your dad will also be all right, Pan Li-jun assured him. That's good. Could you help me with another matter? Tell me, little hero. The safety shelters are like a huge camp. There's simply too many people. I am unable to find my family members who have withdrawn to the safety shelters. Could you help me ask about their current whereabouts? Mo Fan asked. All right, that won't be a problem. It will most likely take Instructor Cheng some time to find the people from City Hunter Squad. With the magical beasts invading the city, the normal communication devices were basically not functioning. Not much later, the headband-wearing Instructor Cheng had already returned. Besides him were a few people, and among them were Xiaoke and Xu Dahuang, who Mo Fan was familiar with. Xiaoke was currently holding onto her mini notebook as she quickly searched for the magical beast record which she had put into the computer. Right now, I have located a few areas where the colossal-eyed ape rat has appeared. The first one is Bailing Areas Park. A colossal-eyed ape rat that injured a human appeared there. The very first discovery of the magical beast's invasion should be at Bailing Area, Xiaoke said to Instructor Cheng. Bailing Area has currently been occupied by the magical beasts, Instructor Cheng noted thoughtfully. Following that is Guangsheng Heavenly Street, and then Lufeng Town, and... Has there been a place with a distinct burrow? Instructor Cheng spoke up. Oh, yes, there is. Beneath Minwen Middle School's cafeteria was a burrow. There was a girl who went missing back then, and there are many magical beasts in Minwen area. I reckon there is definitely a magical beast entrance there, Xiaoke said. That rings a bell. I remember that was when Fan Mo had just joined our squad. We just happened to find a colossal-eyed ape rat inside Minwen Girls' Middle School. Following that, the police discovered a burrow. We all suspected the girl had been dragged into the burrow and eaten there. Fei Shi hurriedly said. They were talking as they were walking. Xiaoke and Xu Dahuang clearly did not see Mo Fan, who was standing nearby, and listening very attentively to them. Currently, the Hunter Squad knew that Mo Fan was Fan Mo, and they would have been surprised to find that Mo Fan was not cultivating within the underground holy spring. How had he come here? Minwen area has a magical beast entrance? Did the people in Minwen area escape already? Instructor Cheng asked the Maga to his side. There's currently not any information on their evacuation. Everyone sunk into silence. After a while, Xu Dahuang creased his brow and said, It seems like Minwen area does indeed have a magical beast entrance, and furthermore, the entrance is within the Minwen Girls' Middle School. No wonder why they felt that the school was vibrating like there was a construction work happening nearby. It turns out that it was actually the colossal-eyed ape rats that were digging. No one has evacuated? Did you read that wrong? Are you sure no one has evacuated from there? Mo Fan's gaze was fixed on the Maga who was talking just now. Mo Fan, calm down. Yeah, if we're not wrong, then the magical beast entrance should be near Minwen Girls' Middle. Thus, Minwen area should also be connected, which is why it's not an easy matter to evacuate from there. Mo Fan's soul sunk. He clearly remembered that Yi Xinxia had told him that their school had frequent vibrations occurring. That would definitely mean the colossal-eyed ape rats were digging underground. If the magical beasts directly climbed up from there, then the entire school would be instantly destroyed. Presently, all of Bo City has entered a crisis. Just who would be able to care about whether a middle school had been able to evacuate or not? Commander Cheng, as this is a matter of the utmost importance, we will dispatch a squad of people over. We must immediately destroy the magical beast entrance. Pan Li-jun said. Since they had found the magical beast entrance, then naturally they had to set off immediately. They didn't have any time to waste. The number of people on this squad can't be too many. Although these magical beasts don't have high intelligence, once they discover that there are a large group of people advancing toward their entrance, we will definitely attract a large number of magical beasts and expose our objective, the female Maga told all of them. Commander Cheng swept his gaze past the present people as he said in a serious voice, Let's immediately deploy people. Commander, we will go with you. As the captain of the City Hunter Squad, I am definitely more familiar than you with battling against magical beasts within the city, Shu Dahuang said. Xiaoke glanced at Shu Dahuang. She didn't know whether she should make a decision or not. Alright, with an elite hunter squad, the chances of success will definitely increase by a lot. The mission this time is fairly dangerous. Everyone still needs to be cautious, Commander Cheng said. As everyone had just finished discussing this, and as they were just about to prepare to leave, a person happened to stand in front of them. Fan Mo? Oh, no, wait, it's Mo Fan. Xiaoke and Shu Dahuang exclaimed, astonished. Ed. Note. Yep, they're a little blind not noticing him talking to the MAGA. Mo Fan looked at the two people, and then at Commander Cheng, who was responsible for the mission this time. Pan Lijun was also shocked as she said, Mo Fan, don't tell me you also want to join? You have already successfully helped the people of Tianlan Magic High to evacuate, and destroyed the plans of the Black Vatican. It's better if you just stay within the safety shelters and rest. We will take care of this. Yeah, you are already the hero of our Bo City, let alone this mission. Even 9 deaths and 1 survivor could have been described as doing really well, Commander Cheng nodded. Hero of the city? Mo Fan didn't think that way. If she died, then he would be a waste through and through. Chapter 108 Leaving the Shelter. Isn't that Mo Fan? Are you kidding me? What's he going to do outside now that he has already arrived at the safety shelter? Shui Masheng was resting in the camp to the side as he happened to see Mo Fan leaving the safety shelter. Shit, I will never think about leaving this place in my lifetime. Yeah, Mo Fan is far too courageous. For the students, the other side of the safety shelters was a nightmare which they would never forget. They had finally reached this place after great difficulties. No matter what people said, they would not tread a single step outside. They were unable to understand just what exactly was giving Mo Fan the courage to once again tread outside of the safety shelter. The truth was, Mo Fan also thought that he wouldn't take another step outside after he arrived at the safety shelter. After all, anything could be put to the back of his head compared to his own life, so how could he have the intention to bitterly save people? Regretfully, he didn't think he was qualified. He was unable to achieve the stage Shu Dahuang was at. However, in his mind floated the girl who couldn't walk, lingering in the area with the highest number of magical beasts. Her pure eyes were filled with fear and helplessness, and just like Zhang Yinglu, leaving this world with a yearning and not knowing what had happened. A lot of people think they have an insignificant role within society, and they are unable to do anything about matters with high principles. They would even sigh in admiration over the fact that there are people that would do things without a care for their own lives. In reality, there are many things in their hearts that had already surpassed others. What they don't realize is that being able to make a quick decision during the time of crisis is a kind of instinct, and whether that action affects their life is something they had no second thoughts about. The current Mo Fan was like that. He never thought about whether he should go out of the safety shelter or not. His mind was already occupied by the scary thought. All of the molecules in his body were telling him to not let such a tragedy befall Xinxia. Thus, when the squad was telling Mo Fan with certainty that the girl he was looking for had most likely died, and him going out was also a futile action, Mo Fan still decided to go with the squad to Minwen area with a fixed resolution. Even if the probability of finding her in this disaster was very low, even if the hope of her still being alive was uncertain. Shu Dahuang has an adequate understanding of the entirety of Bo City, and having him as their guide would avoid many unnecessary inconveniences. In the end, the water magician of the hunter squad didn't choose to follow them out. Every individual had their own choices, neither Officer Cheng nor Shu Dahuang were forcing them. Going along with this mission were the 2 instructors that Mo Fan was familiar with, Luo Yunbo and Pan Lijun. The one who was responsible for the squad was precisely that Officer Cheng, who is an intermediate magician. Officer Cheng was an official protector of Bo City, and this incredibly difficult mission had to be handled by him personally. There were a total of 8 people in the squad, not a large number. On one hand, it was because having a large amount of people might easily allow the magical beasts to sense their actions. On the other hand, there were no other people they could dispatch with them. Being able to dispatch an intermediate magician could already be considered a really good thing. After all, there were many warrior-class magical beasts roaming around Bo City, and only intermediate magicians were able to handle those magical beasts. Meixin Highway was the best shortcut from the safety shelters directly to the Minwen area in the city. The highway bridge has already been turned into a mess by abandoned cars, completely impassable. One could vaguely see a few magical beasts' figures scuttling on top of the cars on the highway bridge, looking for the citizens who thought hiding in their cars would be safe. At this moment, on the chaotic highway bridge, 8 black motorcycles were silently and flexibly following along the pedestrian sidewalk at the side of the bridge, which was basically unobstructed. The cycle's steel was very flat. They looked like 8 African panthers running around from afar. The dim lights from the after rain would barely reflect from its luster. Although this kind of motorcycle that was made with black stone will not be discovered by magical beasts, it is still clear that riding a summoned beast gives you a certain advantage in this kind of situation. Officer Cheng said. Unfortunately, the summoners also have their own missions to attend to, Pan Lijun replied. Officer Cheng nodded, no longer saying anything. In this moment, Mo Fan was also operating a black motorcycle. He had grasped the technique of riding one back in middle school. The teachers in the magic schools had told them that all kinds of magical equipment could easily attract magical beasts. After all, phones, computers, cars, and motorcycles were all created using different elemental magic blueprints. They all needed the energy of magic stones to operate. The energy from the magic stones could easily be sensed by magical beasts. The magical stones made into scientific equipment might not have a huge attraction to the magical beasts, but magical stones that had fast movement, those were different. Just like how many animals have no awareness of immobile things, but once something starts moving, they would also start to chase. This was the same reasoning with the magical beasts and vehicles. Thus, other than the equipment that had been custom modified by the military, using scientific equipment would definitely attract the magical beasts in the surroundings. The radius of influence depended on the magical beast's senses. After a discussion between a few soldiers, Mo Fan came to understand a very important piece of information, and that was a magician's personal tool of transportation was usually a summoned beast. The summoned beast's aura was similar to a magical beast. Those who rode a summoned beast outside of the city wouldn't be easily found by a magical beast. Unfortunately, the vast majority of first elemental awakenings would only be of a basic element. The dimensional element of summoning magic could only be awakened when you reached the intermediate or advanced level. Thus, summoned beasts weren't actually that common. After passing along the Meixin Highway, their progress could be considered very fast. However, as they were about to arrive in Minwen area, the bridge had collapsed ahead of them, probably because a warrior-class magical beast had passed through this place. Thus, they had no choice but to abandon their cycles and walk instead. The technological means of transportation was inconvenient from this point onward, as it relied too much on the road. After abandoning their vehicles, the 8 people continued to advance. Instructor Luo Yunbo was a wind magician. He was scouting a path for them forwards. Luo Yunbo's experience was far more abundant than Li Wenji. He knew how to use his own wind trail magic to lure the magical beasts away, allowing them to directly pass through and not take detours. This kind of wind magician was very important to a squad, as they would be able to save a lot of time and everyone's energy. The road was quite long. There were too many things standing in the way of everyone. If they were able to save their energy, then they should. Chapter 109 Abandoned by the World. To the south of Minwen Girls' Middle was a very extravagant shopping mall. Normally around this time, the shopping mall plaza would be occupied by a large group of aunties, all formed into a colony under the melody of Little Apple. Today, there was not a single soul in this plaza. The aunties who once disregarded the weather to be here might never dare to make a show of their happiness here again. This was because just the night before, they had seen a group of magic wolves swallowing their dance partners in single gulps. The bloodstains had already been washed off by the rain, and what remained on the ground were the remains of humans. Seeing this made many people feel like vomiting. In the surroundings of the plaza, a few low growls and roars arose, and occasionally, there'd be a miserable shriek breaking through. With that, one would immediately know that there was one more person being eaten by a magical beast. The large shopping building occupied 1/3 of the plaza. This was a new shopping mall, but due to the magical beast's recklessness, it had been turned into ruins. Shards of glass could be seen everywhere, as well as shattered walls, and the floor tiles were a mess. The floor beneath the plaza was precisely a Walmart supermarket. Human food was not a big attraction to the magical beasts, or else they would have gathered down there. The supermarket was very fortunate. You needed to take an elevator down, so it hadn't been discovered by the magical beasts yet. The people hiding within the supermarket were all sitting on the ground. The only thing they could do was pray for the beasts to never find this place. "We couldn't have been abandoned like this, right?" asked a girl, holding her knees as she sat in the corner, sobbing softly. "Most of the people in the outside world have died. Us being discovered here is something that will happen sooner or later," the manager of the supermarket said apathetically as he sat on the ground. "We can't. Sitting here will only result in waiting for death. We must go outside. Going out will give us a sliver of hope," said the man who was responsible for transporting the goods of the supermarket. "I am a pipeline worker. I have been working like this for several tens of years. Follow me to the underground sewers and you won't encounter any magical beasts," said a skinny middle-aged man wearing a blue work uniform. As everyone heard what the man said, their eyes began to shine. According to a youth who had escaped to here, the outside world was filled with magical beasts, and if they were to go to the surface, they'd be eaten by a magical beast within seconds. If they were to use the underground sewers, they would be able to easily reach the safety shelters from the Minwen area. To actually have a worker who was familiar with the drains of the city present, that would prevent them from getting lost. "Go, let's hurry up and go. I don't want to stay in this place." Yeah, under the blood alert, not evacuating to the safety shelters in time would basically mean there's no hope for survival. "Go, hurry up and go. This place will be found by a magical beast sooner or later." There were around 15 people within the supermarket. After they heard there was a pipeline worker who could lead them out, their eyes began to flicker with a hope for survival. Fortunately, the supermarket had an entrance directly to the sewers. This way, they would finally have hope to make it to the safety shelters. Everyone quickly packed up. They all followed behind the pipeline worker as they walked toward the underground sewers. "Wait, hold on everyone. Can someone come and help? There's a girl sitting in a wheelchair. She probably can't walk," a petite girl hurriedly said toward the group of people who were about to leave. "Are you out of your mind? With a situation like this, who has the time to care about her? Yeah, you can't pass through the underground sewer with a wheelchair. Little girl, you should just hurry up and come with us," the fat manager of the supermarket said. The pipeline worker was walking in the front, and the others were acting as though they didn't hear anything as they strode behind the pipeline worker. "Then can anyone carry her? I beg of you. Don't leave her behind. I beg all of you." The petite girl nearly cried as she saw the people had gone quite far. At this time, she didn't know what to do. Although there were a few people who turned their heads around and saw the girl in the wheelchair, they revealed a look of wanting to help. Unfortunately, they still did not do so. It was difficult to predict what would happen to them. If they were to meet a magical beast in the underground sewer, they wouldn't be able to run away if they were carrying a girl. "We probably shouldn't be doing this. That girl looks pitiful," a woman amongst them whispered. "What, not doing this? It's she who cannot walk. How can we be blamed? If you pity her, then you can go and carry her. Don't blame me for not warning you. There are many pipes in the underground where you need to crawl, and ladders where you'll need to climb until your legs don't work. Having her come along with us would mean it'd take longer than 2 days to arrive at the safety shelters," the pipeline worker said. "The magical beasts won't necessarily discover the supermarket. She can stay here and wait for someone to rescue her." As everyone heard the words of waiting to be saved, the corners of their mouths couldn't help but draw back. Under the blood alert, there was no possibility for rescues. The vast majority of the magicians would assemble around the safety shelters to protect the safety of the people, and the vast majority of those who were roaming outside needed to think of their own means to evacuate. Thus, that girl sitting in the wheelchair could only pray that the magical beasts would never find the supermarket. The supermarket quickly became empty, and the petite girl who was talking before was precisely standing beside the girl in the wheelchair. As she saw the backs of the people gradually walking further and further away, she almost bit open her lips. "You should follow them," the girl in the wheelchair said toward the unknown girl beside her, forcing a smile. "I'm sorry. I really want to bring you along," the petite girl said with incomparable embarrassment. "Don't worry, hurry up and catch up to them. Is there anything I can do for you?" The girl in the wheelchair seemed as though she thought of something before she quickly took off her bracelet and gave it to the petite girl, saying, "If you reach the safety shelters, please give this to my family." The petite girl quickly remembered the information of the wheelchair girl's family before she sincerely nodded. "Don't worry. I will tell them and have them think of ways to come here and save you." The girl in the wheelchair shook her head. Please tell them that I have already been killed. The petite girl was so shocked that she opened her mouth, momentarily not knowing what to say. At last, the petite girl turned around and left. She wanted to turn her head around several times, but she didn't do it, with great difficulty. A cold-hued light sprinkled around the corner. The heart of the white-collar worker, Lingya, was suffering. She originally thought that there'd be a man among them who would be willing to carry the girl to leave, but in the end, they all hurried away. This kind of neglect made her heart feel bitterly disappointed. However, what could Lingya do? Her legs were still wounded. Her being able to follow the people with her limp was already very good. She was completely unable to carry that girl in the wheelchair. The unknown girl sitting on the wheelchair looked very tranquil. When everyone decided to leave her behind, she didn't seem to have the slightest trace of begging. There was no frenzy nor despair within her eyes. I'm sorry. Lingya's lips were bitten open. In the end, she could only unceasingly apologize and run toward the people who had left. Soon enough, the entire supermarket was completely empty, leaving behind a simple and convenient wheelchair, and a girl wearing a green silk skirt. The people had already left. Yi Xinxia slowly dropped her head. Her hair covered her face, her white hands were put on top of her knees. Even if she seemed more tranquil, her fear would still open up. Unconsciously grabbing onto her skirt was the best reflection of that. In her heart, she did not blame those people. Just like her being unable to walk, who could she possibly blame that on? Every person had the right to live. It's just, when you don't know the silent danger that lurks around you, and you don't know just when you will die, the feeling of the world having abandoned you, the feeling of helplessness slowly spreads across every inch of the body. She didn't know whether to continue to suffer and helplessly wait like this, or just end her life to solve all her problems. Was there any more reason to struggle while at death's door? As if she made some kind of decision, she slowly pushed the wheelchair as she slowly approached the kitchen utensils area. She strenuously stood up from the wheelchair as she grabbed a sharp fruit knife. She was able to stand up and forcefully walk a few steps. It's just her weak legs would quickly cause her entire being to be extremely tired. As she sat on the wheelchair once again, she then slowly pushed her wheelchair back to her original location. Yi Xinxia's actions were seen by the worker Lingya's eyes, and guilt once again washed over her heart. If this supermarket was discovered by magical beasts, then the girl in the wheelchair would most likely end her own life. Lingya took a deep breath, but in the end, she still closed the door.